For over 2 years, there were multiple reports and sightings in Belgium about triangular-shaped UFOs. And I think it's time that we took a deeper dive into it. Hello and welcome. I'm Cyber Viking, and we're going to have a look at everything that happened in Belgium between 1989 and 1991. For 2 years long there were multiple, and I really mean multiple sightings, reports of triangular-shaped UFOs flying. We have some footage of those, we have pictures, and also more evidence that surfaced over the years. But that's not where we're going to stop. No. We're going to ask the right questions. We're going to present the evidence that even you can fact check, and I will show you how to do it. But first, for those who do not know the story or who are not familiar, let's see what happened. The first sighting happened in Eupen, which is in the German part of Belgium. And what happened, there were two police officers, not just regular ones, but more like gendarmerie. So very high-level police officers with military training. They were on patrol and suddenly they saw this huge light. And they were like, whoa, what the hell is this? I've never seen such a bright light in the acres. They immediately called it in at dispatch. From, hey, call Elsenborn, which is a military base. Ask if they're doing some exercises. There's something here, it's very bright. I've never seen such a thing. It's like 40 meters long. And then they started to describe it. It's a triangular shaped object, completely black, no sound. And it has 3 lights on each corner and a red one in the middle. And they started to follow it as it moved along. Now it's hard to keep up with a flying object that's going straight because you have to follow the road. And they couldn't follow it anymore. They started going towards the Hillipstuda, which is a hydroelectric dam. And that's where it stopped. And they were like really baffled from what the hell is that? And then the red light in the center, their beam came down onto the dam. And suddenly, on the right, a second UFO appeared. And they were like, whoa, a second one. Same size, also a triangular shaped, no sound, heading towards Germany. But in the direction of the office of the policeman. So they were like, hey, dispatch, be on the lookout. There's a second UFO and it's flying your way. Open up the window, have a look, you will see it, you cannot miss it. It's big, it's bright. So the police officer stood up, he saw it and he was like perplexed. He was stunned by this. He never saw such a thing in his life. He was really baffled. So the next day the media came and the police officer also explained it to them what they saw. Triangular shaped, red lights and a red light in the middle that was flickering. It was flickering at the speed of a turn signal light, but from the old cars, not the new ones. And they were really amazed on the speed it flew. They've never seen such a thing like that. The same day, near Kelmis, which is close to Eupen, at the border between Germany and Belgium, back then there were still border checks, one of their other teammates, they heard it on the radio. What the hell is going on? And then suddenly they were like, oh my god, we're seeing the same thing. They saw this huge triangular shaped UFO with the lights and they followed it. The UFO stopped at an old folks home. So big house, and it was really bright. And then suddenly the red light inside started to move. It flew away past the building. It's like it was separated, as it was a separate entity. Again, there was no sound. They were perplexed. And as the red light flew away, the big spaceship UFO started to follow it. And the ship flew in the direction of Van Hendrikapelle in Germany. So again you got Team 1, Team 2, the officer at base seeing the same thing. Multiple sightings by high-ranking officials. They were really stunned and amazed. They didn't know what happened, and also the military base in Elsenborn said, "We have no exercises going on. We have no idea what you're talking about." 2 days later, SOBAPS was activated to investigate. SOBAPS is a private organization working for the government. They have to explain every strange phenomenon that's unexplainable. It's not like the X-Files, it's just an organization. If it happens in the sky, we will investigate. So we had a lot of professors, physics, astrophysics, meteorologists, a whole bunch of smart people together, and they were activated to investigate. So they took a map, they put all the circles where the sightings were done, because in total 15 of these police officers saw it. They saw the 2 devices flying. They referenced every viewing point on the map and their story checked out. The media went wild, like, oh my god, UFOs invading in Belgium airspace, and we have no idea what to do. Now, as this got out, more people started to call it in. Not just police officers, but regular people who saw the same thing. Dozens of extra reports came in. So, what was going on? What was flying through the sky? After a week, we concluded that there were over 100 sightings and everybody described the same thing. A triangular shaped object with 3 bright lights and a red light in the center, flying silently. So as the investigation was still continuing, people were asked to keep eyes on the sky. Look up. More and more meetings of high-level people came by to try and understand what happened. We had some really good artists who could sketch what they saw, but in the end, nobody had a clue what it was. It was just an unidentified flying object. Nobody knew anything. Now, as the reporters interviewed the people who saw it, they concluded that it was real, because many people were still in shock of what they saw, and those reporters are like, I've done reports with people who survived a car crash or a disaster, and they all showed the same symptoms. They are horrified, baffled of what they saw, and they cannot explain it. Keep in mind, this is the late 80s, begin 90s. There were no movies like Independence Day and stuff like that. It was still very basic. Now, it did not stop with that one day. No, many more would soon follow. And this would be known as one of the biggest UFO sightings in the whole world. But at that moment, people didn't realize what was going to happen. December 18. There was a big report by SOBAPS to share all the info they gotten, everything they gathered, and to show it. As you can see, this was done with projectors. There were no beamers. Windows 95 was still 6 years away, so everything was old school, very basic on how to explain that. They could confirm that what they saw was an actual object, no lasers, no lights. Now, what was interesting is that not just the press was present, but also Air Force officers, including Air Force Colonel De Brouwer, which was the highest leading rank of the Air Force. So the Air Force confirmed that their radar station in Glen saw something strange on the radar. They thought, maybe it's a fake signal because the movement is so unreal. So for them, November 29 was also bizarre, but meh. But on December 2nd, they had the same thing again. Again, a strange reading on the radar and irregular movement. They didn't know what to do, so they were still all bureaucratic about it. They were like, should we send some F-16s to check or not? Now our Air Force Colonel De Brouwer was still a bit skeptical about everything that came on his desk, the radar signals and the reports by the police. But then another high-ranking official from the army, Colonel Amont, saw the UFO himself in a field. Now his observation did not just speak of a triangular-shaped UFO. At his sighting there was a bright white disc that slowed at the triangular-shaped one. So he could see two different UFOs in front of his eyes. One black one that is very known and one disc. And when that report came in, the detailed report, that's when all doubt disappeared within the Air Force or any other agency in our armed forces. So the decision was made, if something happens, we will QRF 2 F-16s and go and check it out. That was the memo. Now SOBEPS got word about this and asked to see the radar images. They asked to see the evidence. The Air Force Colonel was like, I want to be transparent. I want to know what this is as well. So they had the opportunity to send one of their professors to have a look at it, to see what's it about. Now they could clearly see on the images that the object was like kind of zigzagging. They also saw it slow down and speed up at incredible speeds, faster than any aircraft that was known to man. So again, they had hard evidence of something strange in the sky. It wasn't just detected by the radar station in Glons. It wasn't just detected by a second one, a third one. So we have 4 radar stations, one of which was in the Netherlands, who saw it. Now SOBEPS wanted to get that information in their hands, not just see it at the Air Force base, but NATO gave the order van, no, we're not gonna do that. End of story? Question mark? March 13, 1990. In the evening, a police officer who was at home saw some strange lights in the sky. So he called it in. 2 of his co-workers came by to his house and they confirmed the strange lights. And then all bells and whistles started to go. So they called in the radar station at Glons. They could confirm an irregular radar echo. Suddenly 3 other radar sites can confirm it. 2 of them were in Belgium and the third one was in the Netherlands. And they called Colonel De Brouwer, who was at home, and he was like, guys, I gave the order, as soon as there's something strange, launch the F-16s. Do not wait. Alpha scramble. So 2 F-16s, fully loaded, were launched from the Air Force base at Beverkom to intercept the target. They were guided by the radar stations to the location of the UFO. The radar of the F-16 as well picked it up. When they closed in, at about 14 kilometers of the UFO, the F-16's radar tried to do a lockup. But what happened then was the object was flying at a speed of 250 kilometers an hour and just went past Mach 1 in less than a second. Just like that. Now, at least it was Mach 1 because the radar of the F-16 is limited. So it might as well be 1.1, 2, 3, 4. It is hard to tell. Even the other radar stations had a problem following it. Now the F-16s tried to keep up. They followed it. The incident took about half an hour of time. Many reports from the ground could see the F-16s trying to follow it, track it, but suddenly after half an hour the plane just went away at an incredible speed and it was gone. And the pilots were baffled. In all their years they have never seen such a thing. Skipping forward to July 1990. As mentioned before, NATO blocked all the evidence of the radar signals to be given. And one of the professors was really not happy about that. He was like, I'm gonna talk to one of my friends. Of course, when somebody says that, not much happens. But in this case, his friend was the King of Belgium. And the King of Belgium is always the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and they bypassed NATO. All the information was shared publicly and with SOBEPs, which is awesome. That's how it should be. Share all the information. So Colonel Bauer again was present and he gave all the information, all the radars, how the F-16's pilot tracked it. They have the radar visual of the F-16s. They have the radar signals of all the radar stations nearby. So everybody confirmed there was something. We tried to get it, but it wouldn't let us get near. It was flying at a non-conventional way. It was just impossible for us to intercept. And we have no idea what it was. It was not a laser beam, because that doesn't appear on the radar. It wasn't an optical phenomenon. It wasn't a visual illusion, because those things don't show up on radar. It was something real that they cannot explain. Now later on a so-called professor tried to debunk it, saying they're all fake radar signals. All the radars don't work. Those in the F-16s, those in the ground stations in Belgium, Netherlands, no. They give false information. So that was the first attempt to debunk this entire sighting. So we had eyewitnesses, reports coming in, radar signals, but what was missing are pictures and videos. But they slowly started to emerge. Now keep in mind, we're talking about the late 80s, early 90s. Nobody had a smartphone, nobody had a camera with them. And the cameras that did exist, they were like early generations. No digital cameras, just real photo equipment, real cameras. So not everybody had it, and pictures were meh. But they were coming from all over the country. And then suddenly one guy who was living in Schravenbrakel, who had a decent camera, opened his window and started to film. Now he only made the mistake of zooming in and out all the time, which made it look a bit flu and not wow. And then suddenly the SOBEPs received a picture of a guy who has to be anonymous. He didn't want any money, he just wanted to share the picture. End of story, no name. And suddenly they had proof. They had a somewhat decent picture of this triangular shaped UFO with the bright lights and the orange one, red-orange one in the middle. And suddenly all newspapers all over the world were like, this might be the real deal. March 12, 1991. In the region of Marchand, multiple sightings are reported. In Villiers-Temple, a young woman was driving home, and above her head she saw the lights, she saw a UFO. It felt to her as if the craft was following her when she was driving home. So she was a little bit of panicky, because the media was a total frenzy about UFOs flying above Belgium, and then she sees it, and it probably coincidentally flies above her in the direction of where she is going. When she came to her house, strangely the UFO stopped as well. She got out of her car and started to scream in panic. Good thing she was not alone at home. Her husband and her young kid were there as well. Now at the same moment, in a house nearby, there was this kid lying in bed, and he heard a strange noise. An 11-year-old kid hearing a strange noise, so he was like, I'm gonna have a look. So he opened up the window and he saw the UFO. He was like stunned. Well, logically, you're 11 years old, you're seeing what they've been talking about for almost 2 years now, just outside your window, like 500 meters away. Again, same description. It was triangular shape, black, huge, and silent. He reacted by screaming help at his dad. His dad rushed to the room, and when he arrived, Dad could just see the aircraft, the UFO, fly away. The kid made a description, what he saw, and of course, it's always the same. Everybody has the same description, everybody sees it. Again and again, the triangular shaped object viewed by so many people, and still no explanation. A little bit further down the road, in Grand Marchand, so the biggest place of that area, in the forest of Gooseness, a family of 5 was at home, 5 adults, and they saw the light. They saw him pass by the UFO, and they were like, let's go chase it down. Let's go for some action. And one of them was like, hey, I bought a camera recently, let me grab it. Pop. They got in the car and they started to follow it. Again, it's not easy to track an object that's flying straight, but they managed to do it. And the UFO stopped at a huge field, at a huge area. They all got out and they were really close to it. And they were absolutely stunned, like everybody was. And then suddenly there were 2 bright flashes. 2 very bright flashes. And then the man realized, I need to get my camera. Got back into the car. He bought it, but he wasn't sure how it worked, so he was tampering with it. And when he started to film, the UFO was already moving away slightly. Now he did manage to get something. As you can see here, it's quite flu. Again, those first generation of cameras in that era, it's hard to film, hard to get it clear, especially in the dark. So again, we have multiple witnesses in a certain area. Now what they did see was that that object was flying to the nuclear power plant of Tihange. And there it stopped. It actually hovered above one of the cooling towers. Why? Why would it stop there? Nobody knew, but many witnesses saw it flying over there and stop. And that was the last time that we ever saw it. That was the last time. So there were two bright flashes in that one field. It flew to the nuclear power plant where it stopped, and then it shot off towards Germany and was never ever seen again. So for almost 2 years long there were over 2,000 eyewitnesses, radar reports, pictures, all that stuff, and yet we still didn't have any idea what it was. So now it's time to ask the right questions. By the end of the 90s, when internet was starting to be all around, an employee of Lockheed Martin shared the information. The UFO was actually a human-made object. It was called the TRB-3. It's a human-made object made from what they found from crashed UFOs. Okay, that's his information. Some more drawings and pictures showed up, and even in 2006 a picture appeared of a so-called patent of this device. Okay, so we have a picture of a patent that was requested in 2004 and granted in 2006. So maybe we should have a look at this. This picture has been surfaced online for many years. This is our Trinagle and a US patent. So logical thing to fact check this is, let us go online and check it out. Google US patent search patent public search, US government, yes. Basic search, publication number, so that is 2006 when it was granted, 0145019. We're gonna search. Here it is, Trinagle spacecraft with that date indeed. Let's have a look. Excited, come on. Oh my god. Copy paste, it is legit, really? That is indeed the spacecraft, what they saw. This is mathematics. I have no idea what this sign is. Flow. Oh look, so here it goes in and this goes out. So is that a way of propulsion? Look at these some sort of arrows with a cone on top. So is that how it works? This looks like those cones, but there's so many of them. But that is, yeah, mathematics. And here, yeah, it does invention of a spacecraft having a triangular hull or horizontal electric field. Guys, this is the mathematics. Can somebody call Elon Musk? This information will help him build spacecraft. We'll get to Mars by the end of the year. Guys, this fact check is complete. This is hard evidence. As you can see, this is real. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is fact. So why are they keeping this a secret? I have only one idea why they would. I'm not going to mention it in this video, because if I do, I'll probably disappear. But guys, you can check it out for yourself. Go online, search US patents, fill in the number of the picture. This is proof. So what does this mean? This means there is an organization that has UFO technology, alien technology, implemented in their own flying craft. Okay? There have been rumors about this for almost half a century that these organizations exist. So if we take that into account, that those triangular shaped objects were UFOs, what were they doing? Why did they expose themselves? Now, that organization that reads the media as well. What would you do if you have a top secret aircraft that's centuries ahead of the competition? These days, if we see new modern planes being developed, they're developed at Area 51. By the Russians, it's made in Kapustin Yar. So it's kept a secret somewhat. But this case, this is different. The advancement is too much. You cannot explain it without acknowledging the fact that there are aliens and we had contact. So, we got this secret organization that's flying out there in Belgium for multiple times with multiple witnesses, exposing themselves. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you expose? Perhaps they had no option. They had no cloaking device like maybe some of their UFOs have right now. But they had to take the risk. Now, when going back to that incident with the flying disc, one might think, has it something to do with that? For me, as I always thought, those triangular shaped objects were man-made, but that white disc-shaped UFO was not. Was it looking for that flying disc shape again? It wasn't seen again. So it was only seen once. Maybe, and here's my theory, you can call it a crazy conspiracy theory as much as you want, but because some conspiracy theories are true. The fact is, one is true in every 100. Why is that? Because those organizations, governments, they make up so many fake conspiracy theories so that the real ones, they're ignored. So my theory is that they were looking for something, maybe a being, maybe an alien got out. Because they were looking, standing still, scanning. They were always seen in the same large area, but hardly at the same place. And maybe they did find it. Maybe that incident with the two flashes, that was like, we beamed him up, we got him. And then they went to the nuclear power plant and you can imagine what happens next. So my theory is, got this secret organization that even today is still silent about everything, was looking for something, for a being. And maybe they found it. Let me know what you think about it, or what other questions you might have. What other great questions or maybe theories do you have? And of course, don't forget to subscribe.